Again, my name is Oseye Boyd, Editor-in-Chief of Mirror Indy, a nonprofit newsroom that launched in December. And I am a by-the-book type of person. In fact, my parents got my name from a book, probably setting me up for a lifetime of doing things by the book. And that's what I've done for most of my career in journalism. Follow the traditional path and the rules that say how journalism should be done. I started on my journalism journey way back in 4th grade when I told my dad I wanted to be a journalist. He asked me if I even knew what a journalist was, and I told him. He was pretty impressed with me. What can I say? I was an impressive kid. Like many budding journalists before and after me, I wrote for my high school newspaper and yearbook. My high school had journalism classes, and I took them, eager to soak up all the knowledge I could about what it took to be a good journalist. Of course, I majored in journalism in college because how else does one become a journalist, right? That's the by-the-book way of getting there, and in my mind, the only way to get there. I later learned it is not the only way to be a good journalist. You can forgo the traditional route and still be a good reporter. I went to Ball State University, by the way, a university known to be a great J school. You want a good journalism career? You go to a good J school, right? As luck would have it, one of my professors was the managing editor of my hometown newspaper. Guess what happened? I got a job there in college. I worked as a part-time copy clerk for 2 years, learning the skills it took to be a good reporter. After graduation, I landed a job as a full-time reporter at the Indianapolis Recorder, the nation's 4th oldest Black-owned newspaper. I was well on my way to a successful career in the newspaper industry. And my going by the book career went well. It's one I'm proud of. But somewhere along the way, I decided I'm going to toss the book out the window. Okay, I'm lying. I'm a Virgo, and we tend to be practical people by nature. I'm not a big risk taker. And if I do take a risk, it's calculated. And I've analyzed every angle and possible outcome I can think of, and even ones I can't. So no, I didn't toss the book out the window. But something started happening to me. I wanted more from my career. I wasn't satisfied. It was like the universe heard me. I had an unexpected shakeup in my career and my life. I was laid off from my job, along with more than half of my department where I worked. Instead of fear, I felt relief. I took it as a sign that it was time for me to do something different. Looking back, it's funny at what my ideas of something different were and how it actually turned out. Stay with me. You'll see what I'm talking about soon. See, it was around that time I decided to reinvent myself to a certain extent. I would still be me, but I'll become Oseye 2.0, a bigger, better, badder version of myself. And that meant my career as well. A milestone was approaching in a few years, and I resolved to be happy in all aspects of my life. I vowed to do only what fulfilled me. It was time to take that book I followed so diligently and tear out a few pages, maybe even some chapters, and write a few new ones. I would stand boldly and confidently in who I am and the knowledge and experience I've acquired in my personal life and in my professional one as well. Oseye 2.0 will be a force to be reckoned with, regardless of if I remain in journalism or not. And to be honest, I wasn't sure if I would remain in journalism. During this time, I became a certified Les Mills body pump instructor. As someone who takes exercise classes regularly, I always thought it would be cool to teach one. So I taught this low-weight, high-repetition strength training class 2 to 3 times a week. Teaching class gave me confidence to stand in front of a room full of strangers and on the stage. You can't be shy when you're leading a room full of people through squats, lunges, clean and presses, push-ups, and tricep dips, while they glare at you through sweaty, furrowed brows. while grunting through pain and anger every time you say, one more. Especially the men who came into class for the first time, loaded their bar with the heaviest weights possible, and gave out 3 songs in to the 10-song class. Good times, good times. I no longer teach body pump because I'm too busy, but I'm still certified and I still lift weights. I also became a fledgling entrepreneur and started freelancing. It was freelancing that led me to my next job, a journalism job, as editor of the Recorder. Yes, I went back to the Recorder in a new role. This time, I was in charge, though. The job was going well until a global pandemic occurred. You may have heard of it. COVID-19 forced those of us in media to do our jobs differently. The pandemic made me realize how little we've been using the internet to be creative, how we could do more than publish stories, images, and videos online. Live streaming programs on Facebook and YouTube became a thing. We had a captive audience. We were all shut in the house. And watching live streams had been gaining popularity, so asking people to watch an hour-long show on their phone or computer wasn't a big ask. In addition, the cool thing was you could connect your phone or your computer to the TV. And it's just like watching regular TV. More news organizations started podcasts during that time as well. While the pandemic posed many challenges, it also forced those of us in media to be creative, take risks, and try new things. It was our silver lining. I was excited. See, I love writing, but I had a couple of secrets. I wanted to be the host of a TV show and radio show. Yes, both. I wanted to be on TV and radio. I wanted to have my face splashed all across TV screens and my voice heard on your drive to work, home, or wherever you were going. I wanted all the media. Thanks to the internet, I could do my version of both. I could host news shows online. I could host a podcast. I could have all the media. Remember when I said Oseye 2.0 would be bigger, better, badder? And I wouldn't be afraid to ditch the book a little? Well, part of becoming all those things meant not just waiting on opportunities to come my way, but also creating some. I did just that when I became, a few years ago when I became an adjunct professor, teaching a journalism course, of course, at a local university. This Oseye 2.0 thing was working out, but I wasn't quite there yet. My ideas of what Oseye 2.0 would be were cool, but they were much smaller than what was in store for me. Those ideas prepared me to be open to concepts I never imagined, never knew existed. This desire to be less afraid of taking risks and my newfound creativity in journalism led me to the biggest chance I've ever taken in my career. Editor-in-Chief of Mirror Indy. You can't get much riskier and less by the book than a startup nonprofit news organization in a time when newsrooms are shrinking or shuttering. But the opportunity to pull from the past, from the foundation of traditional journalism to tell stories of those who live in my community while using current technology to be innovative was too great to pass up. In many ways, community-based journalism is part of an old book, sitting on a shelf collecting dust. The book has been dusted off and the relevant pages kept to be included in a new book, where the traditional business model for newsrooms has been turned upside down. And journalists no longer have to be dispassionate observers in their community. We want journalists to be their full selves, able to embrace their civic responsibilities and encourage others to do the same. I recently sat on a panel where we discussed the state of journalism education. As we talked about the importance of the fundamental skills and how we shouldn't lose those as technology evolves, another panelist argued, everything, including the fundamentals, should be on the table. Nothing is sacred, and since it was all invented in the first place, it can be reinvented. It's an interesting thought. We've done the same thing for generations, and it's been ingrained in us. This is the only way to do journalism. We can't be afraid to do it differently, to not always go by the book. But it's more than technology or fundamentals. It's also about how journalists treat our sources and our readers. We're now in a place where we think about the harm we've done in the past to groups of people, or we can do, and we try to mitigate that. Words matter. Representation matters. Now we have conversations about the way we present people in articles, audio, video, or images, and how that will be perceived. Being sensitive and respectful of our fellow human beings doesn't diminish our journalistic integrity or our ability to hold power to account. It actually makes us much better reporters, better writers, and better humans. It shows our audience our humanity, and that builds trust. There's a reason the press is mentioned in the U.S. Constitution. Our founding fathers knew a free press is vital to democracy, but you have to trust us. Without trust, nothing else matters. Our industry is struggling for a variety of reasons. Lack of trust is one of those reasons. Another is we've become stagnant. We still rely on what we did and how we delivered news in the past. We can't be so arrogant and stuck in our ways that we don't go against what we've traditionally done. For me, that's what's exciting about being in journalism in this point in history. We can stop adhering to the old playbook that dictated how it should be done, who we should interview and show deference to, whose voices deserve to be heard, and create a new model to provide accurate information and vital resources. We're on the cusp of a revolution in journalism. I'm proud to be a part of that, an innovator. It's time for Journalism 2.0. Thank you.